Welcome to section 20.5 of Metabolism. In this video, we will focus on memorizing the details of pyridoxine, or vitamin B6. Let's get started. Our story takes place inside a sandy base behind a gate. This gate protects several pyramids. 6 pyramids, in fact. These pyramids will help you remember pyridoxine. The fact that there are 6 pyramids represents vitamin B6. So, 6 pyramids for pyridoxine, or vitamin B6. Now notice the railroad tracks run right into the base. This is for the train that carries ammo to the base. The workers of this base use this train-delivered ammo to protect themselves from intruders. Train ammo will help you remember transaminases. Now, pyridoxine is used for transaminases. So what are transaminases? Alanine aminotransferase, or ALT, as well as aspartate aminotransferase, or AST. ALT and AST are elevated with liver inflammation. So train ammo for transaminase, or transaminase. Now, the worker receiving these ammo cars is our first character in the scene, a little winged monkey. He actually separates these cars one at a time. You could say that he is decarring the train. This decarring will help you remember decarboxylation. Now, pyridoxine is a necessary cofactor in decarboxylation reactions. The decarboxylation reaction that you need to be aware of can be found in this chart. Dopa decarboxylase right here has a pink dot next to it, denoting that it requires pyridoxine, as labeled over to the left. With dopa decarboxylase, dopa can be converted to dopamine, and from there, norepinephrine and epinephrine. This means that pyridoxine is necessary to make these 3 neurotransmitters, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Now don't worry, we will help you remember all 3 of these neurotransmitters, and we will do this by showing a poor victim. This little girl is far from home and captured by these little winged monkeys. Currently, she is moments away from being executed by the electric chair. The headpiece of this barbaric machine will help you remember neurotransmitters. Now turn your attention to her little caged up dog. This dog isn't going to be executed, but rather his captors are preparing to send him away, as you can see with the send label on his cage. Send, or SEND, will help you remember the neurotransmitters serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. So when you think of the plans to send this dog, just remember serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine, which spells send. Another neurotransmitter that requires pyridoxine is GABA. You can remember this one by looking at this cruel guard's name tag. His name is Gabe. Gabe for GABA. So again, you need pyridoxine to make GABA. Now our victims aren't without a hero. Look at this lion with 2 little munchkin-like fellows. They are trying to rescue her and her dog. The munchkin on the top of the lion is holding a glycogen-rich lollipop, while the munchkin on the ground is trying to break through the prison walls using his flower-chained chainsaw. This glycogen phosphorylase chainsaw represents the fact that pyridoxine is needed for glycogen phosphorylase. Glycogen storage diseases have their own image mnemonics, as demonstrated with this image. We won't go into details here. I just want to point out that glycogen phosphorylase is this flower chainsaw on the bottom left. The glycogen phosphorylase is being used to break down this big glycogen tree. So again, glycogen flower chainsaw for glycogen phosphorylase. Now look at this worker monkey over here. He is carrying iron. You know what else carries iron? Heme. This image demonstrates the molecular structure of heme. I want to draw your attention straight to the center, where we can see iron. Heme carries iron. In this way, our carrying monkey acts like heme. This will remind you that pyridoxine is needed to make heme. Now look at the rungs on the ladder. They look a lot like nightsticks. We use nightsticks to represent niacin. Pyridoxine is required for the production of niacin, or B3. Now, niacin has its own image, so we won't go into more detail here. Just know that these goblins have niacin nightsticks to beat their victims. If you look at the conveyor belt making the nightsticks, you'll see a pyramid of 6 goblins. This is to remind you that you need pyridoxine, or vitamin B6, to synthesize niacin. So again, niacin nightstick rungs will help you remember that pyridoxine is required to make niacin. Thankfully, that worker monkey carrying all the iron isn't the only one around here that needs to carry such large things. This winged monkey is helping too. Unfortunately, this guy is walking through a patch of flowers that he's allergic to. Look at him sneeze like that. What chemical do you associate with allergic reactions? Histamine. In fact, histamine can be so troublesome that people often take antihistamines to decrease their allergy-related sneezing and runny noses. So this sneezing monkey will help you remember that histamine also requires pyridoxine. Now let's look at this poor allergic monkey more closely. As the flowers scratch up his thighs, he is getting these little cysts. Cysts on the thighs for cystathionine. Pyridoxine is needed for the synthesis of cystathionine. Now, if we look to the bottom right box, we can see cystathionine synthase, and that little pink dot indicates that cystathionine synthase requires pyridoxine as a cofactor. So in order to take homocysteine to create cystathionine, and once again to take cystathionine and create cysteine, you need pyridoxine. You can't get cystathionine without pyridoxine. Now, outside the gated base, away from the 6 pyramids, will represent pyridoxine deficiency. So away from the pyridoxine pyramids for pyridoxine deficiency. The first symptom you need to know about pyridoxine deficiency is convulsions. Now, this little guard monkey is definitely having convulsions. Look at his eyes and face. He's even falling down uncontrollably. So again, convulsing winged monkey for convulsions with vitamin B6 deficiency. But why is he having convulsions in the first place? Well, he had a big block of ice thrown at him. Directly at his head, in fact. Now, this ice hit will help you remember isoniazid. Isoniazid can induce a B6 deficiency, causing symptoms such as convulsions. So winged monkey taking an ice hit to the head represents isoniazid causing a B6 deficiency. I want to point out how irritable this Tin Man is. The monkey guard wouldn't give him a train ticket into the facility, so he smacks him over the head. Seems pretty irritable to me. Anyways, this irritable Tin Man will help you remember hyperirritability is a symptom of vitamin B6 deficiency. Now, the Tin Man needed to break through a barbed wire fence to get to the ticket booth. This bold character doesn't even feel pain from the barbs. Maybe that's because his hands are made of tin. Now, notice how the barbs kind of look like a neuron. Well, the fact that his hand doesn't hurt when he's holding the barbed wire, combined with the fact that the barbed wire looks like a neuron, represents peripheral neuropathy. Patients with vitamin B6 deficiency often have peripheral neuropathy, meaning loss of sensation in their periphery. So again, grabbing barbed wire for peripheral neuropathy. Just so you know, the Tin Man was not allowed to get a train ticket because he had contraband, a gun in this case, which is strictly forbidden in this base. The no contraband sign represents contraceptives. Contraceptives, just like isoniazid, can induce a B6 deficiency. The contraband sign will help you remember that contraceptives can induce a vitamin B6 deficiency. Our hyper-irritable Tin Man isn't alone in this fight. His scarecrow comrade is packing contraband and is ready to use it. Fortunately for the winged monkey, the scarecrow is a terrible shot. In fact, the scarecrow accidentally shot his Tin Man friend in the side. In fact, he blasted him through the side. This side blast will help you remember sideroblastic anemias that are common in B6 deficiency. I am intentionally pronouncing this as sideroblastic anemia as opposed to sideroblastic anemia to help you remember. The reason that patients with vitamin B6 deficiency get sideroblastic anemia is because hemoglobin isn't adequately synthesized. You can't make hemoglobin without heme, right? And as you recall from the iron-carrying monkeys, pyridoxine is required for heme synthesis. Thus, pyridoxine deficiency can cause impaired hemoglobin synthesis and sideroblastic anemia. Thankfully, our Tin Man doesn't feel pain from the blast. He has peripheral neuropathy, remember? And with that, we have concluded the image on pyridoxine, vitamin B6.